Hey everyone, welcome back to GFXRhino. Today I wanted to talk about my top 5 tips for improving your Roblox GFX. These are tips that I've learned just over the years from doing GFX, as well as just a few from other very amazing artists such as Stars GFX. I've learned a lot of these tips just being in the community for a good while now, and I thought I'd compile them into a video. I do actually have like enough to do a part 2 and maybe even a part 3 as well, so if you do like this top 5 tips video, definitely make sure to comment down below telling me to do a part 2 and even a part 3. Make sure to like and subscribe as well, and I will go ahead and do that. Check out GFXRhino.com for completely free Roblox GFX assets, and let's jump right into the video. So my first tip is a pretty obvious one, and I'm kind of only mentioning it because it leads on to our next tip. So this first tip is to get feedback. So yeah, once again, this is a pretty obvious one, but when you finish a GFX, or if you're even just working on one, getting feedback midway through or when you're finished, just to learn how to improve, is an absolute great way to take it to another level. So for example, I made this GFX right here. This is like the garage car meet. I have a speed art on this. I'll link it in the description or somewhere else right now, where as you can see it does look pretty cool, but there was one small thing missing that my friend actually told me to add into it. So if I go ahead and show you the before and then show you the after, you can see that I just gave a bit of glow to the lights, which was like, even though it's just that slight difference, it was a crazy big improvement, and it just made it look so much better. So I wouldn't have even done that. I wouldn't even gone out of my way and noticed that and fix that. So just getting that feedback from some of my friends, from anyone, getting feedback from anyone to see how you can improve is a great way to get better. And if you don't know where to get feedback, there's a few places. First of all is in Discord servers. I know a lot of GFX Discord servers have like feedback channels, specifically our GFXRhino Discord server that has a GFX feedback channel where you can get some awesome feedback from the community, from me, from anyone in there. You can get some feedback. I've also noticed a few people post their GFX on the Roblox dev forum, which is a pretty good place to get feedback, but I wouldn't say it's the best because you kind of have to be accepted into that forum, and it's it's a bit annoying. But if you just want a quick place to get some feedback, you can try really any GFX Discord server really, but specifically the GFXRhino Discord server does have a GFX feedback channel. And that tip kind of leads on to the second tip I'm going to be covering, and that is to actually implement the feedback. Now, this is a big one because I've seen it multiple times where people will come into the GFX feedback channel and then they will ask for feedback on their art. Someone will give them feedback, and then what they'll say is, oh, I'm too lazy to fix it, or I'll just fix it next time, and all these things. And it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I guess you're still learning. I guess you're still improving. But in my opinion, if you're going to get feedback, what's the point of getting feedback if you're not just going to like fix it right there and then, you know what I mean? So if you do get feedback on your art, or if you just find out any ways you should improve it, go ahead and just fix it up in your current project. Don't say, oh, I'm going to do it next time, or oh, I'm too lazy to fix it up. Just go and fix it, because that does actually kind of lead onto the next tip as well, which I'll talk about in just a second. But you do really need to just prioritize. I think it's also prioritizing quality over quantity. So instead of just starting a new project every time you learn a bit of feedback, implement it into your current project, implement it into your previous project. Even don't start new projects just to like implement this little bit of feedback that you've got and stuff like that. You know what I'm kind of trying to say? Just implement it, actually implement the feedback. Which, yeah, as I said, does lead on to the next tip, which is to experiment and challenge yourself constantly. So yeah, when you do get a bit of feedback, you definitely want to go ahead and implement it, which might involve challenging yourself. Like if it's to improve your lighting a little bit, you'll need to go out of your way to learn different, like whether it's learning what camera raw filter is in Photoshop or Photopea, or using area lights and HDRIs, and implement your feedback, and yeah, now experiment and challenge yourself constantly. So what's the point of making new GFX if you're not going to change it in any way or shape or form? If you're just doing the exact same thing every single time, over time you will just naturally learn new things. That's just how it goes. You'll learn new little lighting techniques and stuff, but I think a much better way to get better is, instead of just doing what you know and then eventually you'll learn some new stuff, go out of your way to challenge yourself. Every single little thing you do in GFX, whether you're going to do your lighting, whether you're going to do your posing, whether you're going to do anything, make sure you challenge yourself as much as possible to improve it. Because as I said before, if you're just doing the same thing every time, you're just doing what you know, you're not going to get any better. It's pretty obvious, right? And even if that means your GFX ends up turning bad, that's fine, because you've learned a new thing. You've learned now what causes it to look bad, you know what I mean? So yeah, just challenge yourself with new lighting techniques, new posing, new materials and HDRIs, and learn, you know, just challenge yourself and experiment with new different things. And yeah. So on to tip number 4 is to not be realistic and to instead just do what looks best. Now this doesn't really make too much sense. You can probably understand that you kind of should be realistic. Obviously, if you're trying to make realistic GFX, then obviously you want it to be realistic. But what I kind of mean by this is don't be technically realistic. Like, so a good example of this is with when people pose their guns. So if you like posing a character with a gun, a lot of the time I'll notice, especially beginners, will have their guns posed where the guns like kind of sit on top of them, and they kind of look like they're holding the gun out in front of them. It doesn't look like they're actually holding the gun. By the way, to the person who made this GFX that I'm probably showing on screen right now, no hate to you, no hate to anyone who's done guns like this. This is just a bit of advice for how you can improve. Don't be technically realistic, because if you think about real life, guns don't clip through your hands in real life, obviously, right? But don't be scared to kind of clip it through the arm a little bit. If you kind of like, you realize the Roblox arms are quite fat, so clipping the end of the gun, I don't know what it's called, but you know, the end of the gun that kind of goes up against your shoulder, clipping that through the arm a little bit just to make it look good is completely fine. And especially clipping like the handle, the bit you hold on to, is fine as well. Like just, and even like with trees or something, if you're going to put your character in a forest, if you put trees all around him, it might make the lighting look kind of bad, just because there'll be trees behind the camera that are casting these shadows onto the character that just make it quite dark, you know what I mean? So maybe removing those trees to bring that bit of lighting, and it won't be realistic, or it won't be technically realistic, but it'll look better. You know what I'm trying to say? Just don't be realistic and do what looks best instead. I probably haven't explained this one too well, but it is definitely a very big one, right? To just do what looks best. Do what looks best. Like if you need to, you know, like technically your trees should be all random over the place, but you should probably make them kind of evenly spread out in the background. You kind of know what I mean? Just to make it look good. So yeah, don't be technically realistic, but just do what looks best. And last but not least, this is a super big one that in fact I'm probably going to go record a whole video on this after this video, and it is to steal like an artist. And this is once again a very, very big one, and it's kind of just saying like, take inspiration, really, right? Don't completely steal other people's art, and you know, just don't, because I know a lot of the time when I post like speed arts and when I post tutorials, like whether it was my military GFX tutorials or just my full GFX tutorial, or as I said, speed arts as well, like my car meet speed art, my destructive war speed art, any speed arts or tutorials I post, I notice people create GFX that is exactly the same as those, which is completely fine. Yeah, you're allowed to do that. I'm not stopping you. It's not my work's copyright, and obviously some of them are tutorials as well, so you're kind of meant to follow along. You could also talk about this in the way that nothing's actually original. Like if you look at this scene from Chainsaw Man, then you can see that this Roblox GFX here was created inspired by that, and then you can actually see that my destructive war speed art was inspired by that one, that was inspired by the Chainsaw Man one, and then there was this one that was inspired by my one, which was inspired by the Chainsaw Man one, which is inspired by the real Chainsaw Man show one. You know what I mean? So there's 4 different ones going down the chain where they've kind of just been inspired by each other, but each time something's being changed up. So yeah, be able to take inspiration and stuff, but you know, change it up to be your own. Everything you take inspiration from, every tutorial, everything you look at to create your art should just be a starting point. It shouldn't be something that you completely copy. And that is my top 5 tips for improving your Roblox GFX. Once again, if you do want a part 2 and even a part 3 to this, make sure to comment down below, like, subscribe, check out GFXRhino.com for completely free Roblox GFX assets, and of course donate. Even just 10 Robux helps a lot, because we are a completely free Roblox GFX asset store. I will see you all next time. Peace out.